comes with rules.
Yeah.
Nobody doesn't have rules. Nobody can do it only their way.
Only their way.
I don't think the rules is the issue. I think the structure was the thing.
Damn, this is a good conversation. Man, I want to hear more. Oh, you do? Well, head over to my Patreon. Check the link in the description for more unfiltered, uncensored hydration situation on.
Now, Marcellus Wiley just opened up the business and explained clearly what was happening in the situation with Gil Arena, which it was a show that came out of nowhere and spontaneously, just shot up on the YouTube charts, but on the podcast world, in the podcast space, it's not really there like other people would think they would be. From the numbers you see on YouTube, you would expect the show to be a lot higher when it comes to that scenery. So, yes. Now, the way everyone look at it is a little bit more intense than how others may view it or see the outlook of the picture. Marcellus Wiley, who's a friend, he's an actual friend of Gil Arena's. He's very good, close to him. So obviously he wouldn't want to say something that was out of school, right? Or out of line or out of tune. So he would say something that's pretty much in line with everything that would be in step to what Gil would see, pretty much be, comparable. But I think this is about an all-out fairness. I think he just wants to be unbiased and speak. But he opened the door to something that you guys probably are not privy to, that if myself or Kwame Brown said, you would say we were being biased. But this is a friend of Gil Arena's. It's going to echo to some of the same sentiments that we were saying. But let's go to the intro. Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them.
With a dormant channel, a YouTube channel, which we can all start today, another one. He had a dormant, dead channel, and then he said, here's the concept. Y'all give me all the money, y'all fund it, y'all build it, y'all put it in my basement, and more importantly, you put my boys on, I give you 50% of it. And they was like, done, because that's immersive marketing. That ain't like brand reads and just ad reads. It's like everything you do is underdog-ish. And they were like, they bid. And he's like, I go. This is dead to me. And he now can negotiate from a place of leverage as number one in the space. Not even me, not even like Stephen A, not even like maybe Shay, but he is number one in this. He had the most views all year. And he wouldn't have had the most views all year. I'm gonna tell you, because I know how it goes. Not without Underdog, because not only do they put it out and they buy editors, not only that, they whitelist. Whitelisting mean like, oh, we promote this. Mm-hmm. We add, this is gonna be on your channel. You like gonna go to the top of your channel, like, damn, Gilbert's thing. They will put money, promote your post. They like, so he got a machine. And
it's the exact same thing Kwame Brown has said and I have said. He has a machine pushing him. So therefore, you can go certain places because they have an invested interest, a large investment interest. So to push him, it's the exact same thing I've said and Kwame Brown has said. But if we say it, y'all say we bias. We just hate Gill. That's why y'all just hating on a black man. This man just said the exact same thing. And what he mean by whitelisting, meaning it's just like if somebody has a new movie coming out and you see the advertisement everywhere when you go to watch something, you're not even thinking about it, and they just send it to you. Somebody is marketing it to you. They can't say it's us anymore. They can't say it's just us anymore. Now, the whole notion of the success of the show is a precursor where it's driven where the precursor is that it is driven he said you can pay for ads on Google and YouTube. Now he just gave you a consistent and a concise breakdown, right, of what happened. But nothing was more
dormant, dead channel. And then he said, here's the concept. Y'all give me all the money, y'all fund it, y'all build it, y'all put it in my basement, and more importantly, you put my boys on, I give you 50% of it. And they're like, done, because that's immersive marketing. That ain't like brand reads and just ad reads. It's like everything you do is underdog-ish. And they were like, they bid. And he's like, I go. This is dead to me. And he now can negotiate from a place of leverage as number one in the space. Not even me, not even like Stephen A, not even like maybe Shay, but he is number one in this. He had the most views all year. And he wouldn't have had the most views all year. I'm gonna tell you, because I know how it goes. Not without Underdog, because when
not without Underdog. He would have never had those views if it wasn't for Underdog. When he said, not without Underdog, trust me, I know. Now, this is a guy who's been on that couch. He's been on the show. And when they say negotiating power, that's from YouTube. That's a major difference. Because we don't know how much they're pumping into the show. But those are real studio cameras. Okay? Those cameras probably cost $10,000 a piece. That's down in that basement. I mean, seriously. The setup is impressive. You know, the quality of the show isn't great. But the setup, impressive. Now, I've seen podcast shows come, I've seen them go. There have been way more famous players and more popular players, more successful than Gilbert Arenas, right? But nobody has seemed to have the staying power and they get on this social media and they wouldn't last. You think Michael Jordan can get on here and podcast? He'll be done in 3 days. One, you gotta have the work ethic. You gotta want to do this. This has gotta be in your bloodstreams. You gotta want to get down in the mud. You gotta want this. And well, to some, he's funny, but I look at it for a show perspective. It depends on what you watch a podcast show for. You know, some people watch it for goofy silliness. You know, that's what gets them excited. I'm not that person, so it's not for me. Now, when I look for so when I think about what would be the absolute worst, like what would be the worst podcast shows you could find? And as you can see, right there, it says worst sports podcast. Look at that, 84,000 views I got 2 weeks ago. So 84,000 people wanted to know what was my top 5 worst sports podcast show. 84,000. And they don't even feature it. This is right. And the number one show out of all these shows. Now, I have not watched every sports podcast show. These are out of the ones I've watched. The Gridiron Show. 2 of the shows were in the top 5 are by Underdog Fantasy. The Gridiron Show, Stephen A's podcast show, and number 1 spot is Gil Arena. It is by far the worst sports podcast show. Now, there are countless people that would say, man, I think the best thing for everyone involved is to move forward, or we got to move out of this thing of putting each other down and all that. That's cool. I'm not putting it down. I'm just telling you what I think. I think the show is very bland. I think the show is not good. It's great. It needs a lot of improvement. And I just don't think people care about the show. They just care to say whatever they want to say, go home, get a bag, go out and kick it for the night. That's it. They don't care. So if you know that, then you know there's a lot of things that they would do and go through just to get away from the situation. But Marcellus Wiley opened up the door. And explained it.
But not only do they put it out and they buy editors, not only that, they whitelist. You know,
Buying editors. What does he mean? Meaning that he found people that's gonna clip up the show, make shorts, make videos, and start doing all the editing work for you. They probably have access to upload to your channel and basically make your channel more active without you having to be involved. So now, people are stuck in a conundrum. Most people can't afford to get editors. So they wind up in a whole different space. Yeah, they can't afford to get editors. All right, so they got to do all the work themselves. But now let's check this out.
Listen, mean like we promote this. We add, this is gonna be on your channel. You like gonna go to the top of your channel, like, damn, Gilbert's thing. They will put money, promote your post. They like, so he got a machine. And I told him, I said, people are not seeing it. You actually now are in a better position than anybody could have been by trying to scrape and crawl and climb your way to where you are.
It depends. See, here's the thing, Marcellus Wiley. It depends on who you are. Kwame Brown, if he wanted to be in that podcast space and wanted, if that was his goal, Kwame Brown had that deal 2-3 years ago. If somebody want to take that deal or position in the podcast field and they're willing to give up 50% of their page, oh, everybody would jump. But there's a very good reason why they don't do that, Marcellus Wiley. Because that 50% will look more like 75% by the time it's all said and done. Because the language in the contract pretty much nullifies your 50%. Yeah, you get money. They got control, which means they can fire your staff, replace your staff with another staff. Personnel be in and out like a revolving door. Contracts, everything is all up to them. Now, they might have the in the language saying that if the show gets canceled, then everybody go their separate ways. So if they wanted to go say, hey, we're going to go work somewhere and start up another show, they probably can't do that for a number of years. It depends on how many days they got in the contract, or they split, or maybe they buy their way out, etc. Now, Gill says if he does split, he gets to keep the studio, that it was part of the deal. So part of that 50% he was giving up was the fact that they're going to build this $300,000 studio And that's just basically going to come out of Gilbert's salary. So Gilbert is basically paying for this setup. But see, here's the thing. You don't know how much money Underdog is actually making and how much you're truly, should be rewarded. You just don't know. Everything is an if. And don't forget to subscribe to Marcellus Wiley's That Dude. Hit the like button up. Because what he's saying is true. After being whitelisted, after being carried for so long, there's so much wrong in the scenarios. I looked and I said, wow, this is what the problem is. As I see it clear as day. I'm quite sure he's going to get a new deal. But you got to think about it. It's all about the person. For Gill, he might need that type of thing, like he don't want to have any control, any responsibility, nothing in the horizon. So for him, I understand him saying, you know what, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. I can understand that coming from him. I'm going to get y'all 50% control. Just cut me a check. That's it. He don't want to deal with any other. He don't want to know the finances. He don't want to sit in on the meetings. He don't want any of that responsibility. So I remember working with somebody who said it. I've heard many people say this before. If I can't work with a guy who got to ask for permission for everything. I can't be up under a guy like that. He'd be, I don't know, let me go get permission. I'd be like, oh no, I can't be in this situation. Has no control, but want to boss you. But they can't make any decisions. All the decisions have to come from elsewhere. Then everything else is in limbo when it's coming to us. And there's a lot of us that's involved in, as long as we stay glued and connected and everybody's sliding and making their own decisions and yeah. Well, the thing is that when you see people make those type of observations, then you get it. Yeah, you get it. You understand what Marcellus Wiley is telling you. Because he's been in this game a long time. He's seen it.
So I look at it from two ways, and we kind of talked about this offline. Like I don't fault him for taking the deal. I think two things. I think Gilbert didn't believe in himself the way other people believed in him.
In 2018, though.
Yeah,
Now, let's say I worked with Gill, right? Man, these officials are terrible. Yeah, this ref number 29 is blowing my. He's making me upset. Now, a lot of people are not going to be happy with giving up 50%, but then you say 50% of what? Because you don't see the value. Because you don't ever see the valuation of what your company could be worth if you renegotiate and you're in control of your said situation. You're looking at probably just from one sponsor, $2 million a piece. I mean, $2 million a pop. They say, hey, well, we want to give you $2 million a month. Just from one sponsor. And yes, that is a realistic deal, people. And that's just one of them. There's people that got like 4 or 5 sponsors. And they get paid heavily. We're talking $700,000 a month. So you don't see those numbers. You're not seeing all of that coming in because you don't care. You gave up 50% in control and interest. So they could be taking all this kind of money coming in. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know how much money they're making. They're just going to pay you a little chunk and say, that's your bit. But if somebody say, hey, yeah, if somebody said, hey, man, look, that's what it is. Yeah.
At that point in time.
Okay.
And here's what I say, and I said this to you before, and he's one of these people. Between the two of y'all, when it comes to content, the level of stuff that y'all put out is like next level because it's just nonstop. Like it's just always something new. So the work level, the work ethic is on another level. I think where he was at back then, he had started that wave, and even now, like he every day he's got something new out.
You're a beast.
I think he didn't realize how much of a wave he would have started if he had just kept that going.
Yeah.
So the easier option at that time is, hey, if I don't fully believe in what I'm doing, let me get this machine and let them back me and build this up. If that's your mindset at that time, like I get it, because you're just trying to build your brand and you have a whole team that's gonna, like you said, put money behind you and do it.
Insane.
And get a free studio too.
Free studio, all that. So I get it. The flip side of that is I think a lot of people did believe in him more than he thought. So he could have probably made more, or at least if he didn't make more than what he got from them, he would have still been in such a good position that when he did decide to take a deal with somebody, he would have probably got way more than what he ever got. He would have been able to leverage his ownership a lot better.
That's true. But you got to think about it. This is a former professional athlete who's been on all these shows, and they don't understand it. So when Marcellus Wiley broke it down, he broke it down to a science because it was clear. And we'll run it back one more time so you can understand it. What he exposed was the same thing Kwame Brown and myself has said. Now this is, and y'all said we was hating on Gilbert, but in reality, there was no hating on Gilbert. This was a universal thing and a universal feeling. This man has been on his couch and been in Gil's house. They are best friends. They're really good friends. And he just said the same damn thing that we've been telling y'all.
A YouTube channel, which we can all start today, another one. He had a dormant, dead channel, and then he said, here's the concept. Y'all give me all the money, y'all fund it, y'all build it, y'all put it in my basement, and more importantly, you put my boys on, I give you 50% of it. And they're like, done, because that's immersive marketing. That ain't like brand reads and just ad reads. It's like, everything you do is underdog-ish. And they were like, they bit. And he's like, I go, this is dead to me. And he now can negotiate from a place of leverage as number one in the space. Not even me, not even like Stephen A, not even like maybe Shay, but he is number one in this. He had the most views all year. And he wouldn't have had the most views all year. I'm gonna tell you, because I know how it goes. Not without Underdog, because not only do they put it out and they buy editors, they promote this. We add, this is gonna be on your channel. You like gonna go to the top of your channel, like, damn, Gilbert's thing. They will put money, promote your post. They like, so he got a machine. And
he's got a machine, buddy. And he said it just as clear as day. They're whitelisting. They're spending money. They gonna bot this thing up. They just threw Duran out the game. A flagrant 2. That might have messed up my goddamn parlay. Now, back to this. Now, what he told you was clear. He's not going to go anywhere if it wasn't for Underdog. So he's letting you know, like, look, I know how this goes. You got a machine behind you. If you don't have Underdog, you ain't going nowhere. You'll have to work and grind and get to the top. And as you can see, he don't want to do that. So he'll give up 50%. I ain't doing nothing with that channel anyway. Here, take that. Take that money. I can care less. Well, that's gonna be the notion, right? That's gonna be the whole notion behind all of it. Take the money. What do you do?
I told him, I said, people are not seeing it. You actually now are in a better position than anybody could have been by trying to scrape and crawl and climb your way to where you are.
So I look at it from two ways, and we kind of talked about.
Now, as I told you, it sounds nice and pretty, but you are at the mercy of them because really it's not your show. You own 50% of something y'all both created together. You want to build the show, but they got 50% of that show. And they have basically creative acquisitions. They have all creative control. intellectual property control. The IP is them. Everything is them. So you got to do what they say. If they say, okay, well, we don't want this show on 2 days a week. We want it on 1 day a week. We want it on Thursdays. We want it on Fridays. All you can say is yes, sir, boss. And that's it. They control it. But it looks great from Marcellus Wiley's point of view. But here's the big picture. They spending all the money to keep you there. What happens when that money ain't there? See, Underdog knows what we know. Yeah, they're spending all that money to get them to the top, but they not really earning enough to keep them functional. They're taking losses on this show. And how do I know that? Because they reduced the shows down to 2 days. You don't reduce a show down 2 days unless you're losing money. You don't reduce unless you're losing. You're cutting costs. So they're going to want somebody on the outside coming in saying, hey, we need that money. They need that bag. Yeah, 2 days a week is crazy work. It's not only just crazy work, it's you're caught in a situation where you're looking at all of these bad positions that all these other companies are in. And like this guy said, let's break it down to two problems.
Offline. Like I don't fault him for taking the deal. I think two things. I think Gilbert didn't believe in himself the way other people believed in him.
In 2018, though.
Yeah, at that point in time.
See, and what he's saying is Gill didn't believe in himself. But no, it's not about just believing in himself. He know he can't do it himself. And he has no plans on doing it himself. See, the thing also with a deal like that, it's kind of like Stephen A. With Stephen A. Smith having a deal like that, Stephen A. Smith got to work. They gave him $100 million, but he got to work 15 jobs. Gill will have a deal, but he gonna have to work Skip Bayless show. He gonna have to be on that show. He ain't gonna be able to get no rest. They'll work him to death. Why? Because they own the show. While Pat McAfee, he worked one show and get $100 million. You see the difference? Well, of course, he's trying to he's in a negotiation. So starting a drama with Kwame to promote your show, that's what got him on in the first place. It got him interested. And people are like, hey, let's check him out because he's, talking about Kwame. How they work him to death in his own house. Easy. They do what they done been doing. They gonna foul out every Detroit Pistons on the team. The Pistons almost got 20 fouls in the first half, and we got like 7 minutes to go. And they didn't threw during now. That's what type of day it is.
Okay. And here's what I say, and I said this to you before. and he's one of these people. Between the two of y'all, when it comes to content, the level of stuff that y'all put out is like next level, because it's just nonstop. Like it's just always something new. So the work level, the work ethic is on another level. I think where he was at back then, he had started that wave, and even now, like he every day he's got something new out. I think he didn't realize how much of a wave he would have started if he had just kept that going.
Yeah. So
the easier option at that time is, hey, if I don't fully believe in what I'm doing, let me get this machine and let them back me and build this up. If that's your mindset at that time, like, I get it, because you're just trying to build your brand and you have a whole team that's gonna, like you said, put money behind you and do it.
Insane.
And get a free studio too.
Free studio, all that. So I get it. The flip side of that is, I think a lot of people did believe in him more than he thought. So he could have probably made more, or at least if he didn't make more than what he got from them, he would have still been in such a good position that when he did decide to take a deal with somebody, he would have probably got way more than what he ever got. He would have been able to leverage his ownership a lot better.
I'm going to use you because that was amazing and real. I'm going to use me to go against your point. Because in 2018, Gilbert and I did this panel at USC. Gilbert wasn't even doing content. Me either. I was working at network and Gilbert was Gilbert. I think he was going into a football deal. So we kind of like in the same space. At that time, you could almost say that I was winning because I was on network. I'm going from ESPN to Fox. ESPN offered again. I was like, I'll take the Fox deal, it's much bigger. Blah. That's me. Gilbert, me and him on the same panel. Now, he's also Agent Zero, who I know made $160 million. So, like, you got me in real life, but in this content sports media game, maybe I'm the bigger dog right now. 2018. Oh, that's changed quick. And think about it. This is why I think Gilbert made an amazing deal. He has the #1 show. I don't have the #1 show. He has 1 million something subscribers. I don't know, something. I have 400, 500,000, getting in that range. He has a basement. I have a basement. His is built out like NBC Sports. Mine is, all right, that's nice. Pack it up and leave. And then come back.
Father knows best.
I got little 6-year-olds running through here throwing flags at night. This shit is weird, right? His boys all are making 6 figures. Y'all not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
I'm about to say.
Oh, look, I play football. I keep it right now. First down, what happened on that play?
All right, respect.
Now, I'm watching the Pistons. I'm not watching the Knicks beat up on a Celtic team that's depleted. But yeah, I bet on the Celtics. I need my head knocked in for wasting my money. My hate for the Knicks blinded me. Now, let's look at what he just said, right? He's saying, I don't have a #1 show. I don't have this. I don't have that. But guess what? You have total control over your intellectual property. You'll be able to get a licensing deal for yourself that will be bigger than what Gilbert can do. Gilbert would have to be under the restrictions of whatever Underdog would want. You don't need 1 million subscribers. Your 500,000 or whatever is authentic. You did that scraping yourself up. You didn't have to whitewash yourself or whitewall yourself into this position. You did it on the grind. So you ain't had nothing to worry about. Everybody who saw you understood exactly what it was. They looked at you and they said, hey, That guy's on something. I see what he's about. Now you can go get sponsorship deals, negotiate them yourself, and have a crazy valuation every time. And I do mean every time. No, because when you own your intellectual property, you could leverage for your own self. You don't have to sit there and be in full, right? You're in full control. So yeah, he'll in the big scheme of things, it looked like he's gonna make a lot. But for how long? What if Underdog pull out? Then what happens? They said, man, we spending all this money and we're not really making any money. We're gonna pull out. We couldn't get somebody else to come in and take the show. And y'all salaries are way too much, which it is. So that's why the show got reduced to 2 days. Now they get to continue. They don't have as much as them, right? But now they talking about the show is on the rocks on what they gonna do for next year. So now, and the show's been out for what, 2 years? So 2 years of having this show, and already people's, careers is in limbo, where they don't know what's going to happen next. He said, I don't think Gil can even sell his own Gil Arena merchandise. Hey, I don't know, but I'm just saying he's got a editing team, a marketing team, like he got a whole production studio. So his content, like the show and the set, those cameras, it's made for a streaming site or somebody who wants to watch it on Amazon or Netflix, but will it be successful? Who knows? Now, the overall interest of the show, a lot of people don't know it. They don't know about the show. It's a lot of people. They don't watch it. You know why? They have no guests. Because it's in Gil's house. See, this is one of the problems with having a studio in your home, and your content is not really consistent of you. Most podcast shows is consistent of who they got as the guest. That's what makes people go over and check it out. Me and Gil have had that conversation. I told him, I was like, your show fails because you don't have guests. It's just y'all talking again. Of course I'm watching it. I'm watching it right now in front of me. And I watched how we got 20 fouls in the first half. They threw Duran out the game to mess up one of my parlays. I know people are livid. Now Duncan Robinson want to go off for 12 points after sucking it up against the Bulls. Now maybe we can trade him. Boost itself up to 12 and a half. No, like he said, you guys are not making that now. But he was like, they like, not yet. But they have a better valuation position because they own their IP address. Gil's Arena cannot exist with Underdog. Underdog probably own the damn name. And tell them, well, hell, you can't do another Gil's Arena. You can call it doo-doo dumb dog shit, but you ain't gonna be able to call it Gil's Arena. Whatever, you go somewhere else. I guarantee you they don't own the IP address. Underdog does. And you gave up that for money. So in actuality, Marcellus Wiley is in a better position because he'll be able to make the money, work whenever he wants to work, take the sponsorship deals, pay his guys. He can decide who he gonna keep, who he want to fire, everything. It's his choice. So can nobody come in and say, hey, we want you to fire that person. We want you to cut 2 people out. That's his decision. That makes more sense to me. What y'all think? So anyway, don't forget to go follow his channel. Marcellus Wiley, that dude. Support his channel. Support Kwame Brown Bus Life. Support this channel. I'm Carcino for Life. Hopefully you like what you was hearing today and it was interesting to you enough to want to subscribe, become a member, etc. The Patreon, we did tell you about all the other people there that might be named in the list. So definitely go check that out. And we are out of here. Yeah.